Good morning again. This is Dwayne, and today I'd like to talk about the tritone substitution. The tritone has been a mysterious concept for hundreds of years, but it's really simple. It's like a lot of things in life. The reality of it is very simple, but it looks complex on the outside, and so don't let it scare you. For years I didn't know what, I'd heard about the tritone substitution. I didn't know what it was. I discovered that I'd probably been using it for 20 years before I knew what the word meant. So, and you may be using it as well. A tritone is simply three whole steps from any given note. In other words, a whole step above C is D, another whole step is E, another whole step is F sharp. So from C to F sharp, that's called a tritone. Back in the Middle Ages, that was considered kind of, not exactly evil, but certainly unlucky, kind of like a number 13, probably because of the dissonant sound that you get between those two notes. Okay, but it's very useful when it comes to chord substitutions. Let's take a chord progression like G seventh to C. You run into that progression all the time, don't you? That's the most standard of all chord progressions, right? A 5 chord going to a 1 chord. Okay. Now, for that 5 chord, we're going to substitute the chord that's a tritone below the root. What's a tritone below G? There's a whole step. There's a whole step. There's another whole step. So D flat is the tritone below G. Okay. Now, the secret to this is finding the 3rd and the 7th of the original chord. In other words, here's the G7th chord. There's the root, there's the 3rd, there's the 5th, and there's the 7th. So the 3rd is there and the 7th is there. Those are the two key notes or keys we need to keep in mind, because what the 3rd is in the key of G becomes the 7th in the key of D flat. And what the 7th is in the G7th chord is the 3rd in the key of D flat. Okay, so in other words, the best substitute for chord progressions between G7th and C is D flat 7th, because it has two common notes. You see, it has those notes in common. Let me play the other notes of the chord now. You see that? So that means I can substitute for G7th to C, I can substitute D flat 7th and then go up to C. Now you can voice that in a variety of ways. Let's say you're playing along, you get to there. See, that's a D flat 7th chord. I got a 9th in it, but there's the 7th and there's the 3rd, which used to be the 3rd and the 7th of the G7th chord. Well, they still are, but you just invert them, right? And they become the 3rd and the 7th of the new chord, D flat, and that allows you to slide in to there. So let me do another situation. Different, but it's the same chord. It's D flat 7th with a 6th on top. Doesn't matter what other chords you put into it. Okay, but let's do a couple more. Let's say that we're on D7th. What's the best substitution between D7th and, of course, going around the circle of 4th. D7th chord almost always goes to the G chord, doesn't it? Because chords want to move up a 4th. So D7th goes to G. So what's the tritone in the D7th chord? Well, we got to find the 3rd, which is F sharp, and the 7th, which is C. Okay, let me put the 7th down here. Okay, now just reverse that. If that's the 3rd and the 7th of the D chord, what is it the 7th and the 3rd of some other chord? Well, it'd be a half step above G, which is A flat. If I play the root and the 5th of the A flat 7th chord, root 5th, I already have the 3rd and the 7th. So in other words, A flat 7th can be the substitute as you go from the D7th chord to G. You can slide in other words, like that. Okay. And if you're on the C7th chord, again, let's just do it. The 3rd of the C7th chord is E. The 7th is B flat. So let's reverse that. And in the chord substitution that we're going to use, G flat 7th, that's the 3rd and that's the 7th. So if you want to go from C7 to F, you could go there by way of and harmonic. Okay. Again, the concept is not hard. It's a little hard to describe because of the inversion of the third and seventh. But think about that for a while and try it out, and I think you'll find it very useful. It's a nice chord substitution that you can use in a lot of settings, and it just adds interest and excitement to your piano playing. So, hi, this is Dwayne again, and I'd like to tell you about a little book that I wrote a few years back. It's called Piano Chords and Chord Progressions: The Secret Backdoor to Exciting Piano Playing. And it's a terrific resource about chords. If you want to know more about chords, you ought to latch onto this book. It's just barely over $10, $11 I think it is. And it covers all the chords and chord progressions that I talk about in my videos. It's just a great, it's not a substitute for videos, of course, but or DVDs, but it's a great summary, and it's so inexpensive that it's well worth your while to get. Here's a table of contents. You can just look down here and see all the things it covers. Starts out with major, minor, diminished, augmented, 6th, 7th, and on to 13th chords and suspensions and alterations, and then gets on to chord progressions and so on. So it's a very thorough book, and it's got a lot of illustrations. I'll just toggle through a little bit so you can, and there's the back cover. So it's worth your while to get. So hope you take advantage of that. Thank you. Bye bye for now.